Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for the first match preview after the international break. Leicester City head to Selhurst Park this weekend as they take on Crystal Palace. Jordan Ayew heads back to his former home after the move to Leicester City in the summer transfer window for £5 million plus 3 million add-ons in bonuses. We're going to be chatting to Ali from Pride of South London Fan TV. He's going to give it a lowdown on the Eagles and yeah, looking forward to this one. We're going to do a combined 11 as well regarding Leicester and Palace. So we're going to try and get as many players from each side into that 11. Maybe a side that could win the Premier League, who knows? But no, we're going to be chatting with Ali. We're going to have a look at foot in both camps, score predictions, team selection, and of course all that. And yeah, let's see who's in the chat then. So, Callum, how are you, mate? Hope you're good. Yeah, I think I've already done it, Callum, to be fair. Come on, Leicester. Big up. Dachala, 27. Hope you're good. Come on, Leicester. Hello. Hello, Jake. How are you, mate? Hope you're good. Right, let's get Ali in from Pride of South London Fan TV. Ali, how are you, mate?
Hello, mate. Yeah, very well. Very excited for the Jeff Schlupp, Jordan Ayew derby. Buzzing for it.
Talk to me about your channel then. Let everybody know where they can find you as well. What do you do at Pride of South London Fan TV?
Yeah, Pride of South London Fan TV. I'll be doing a review of the game afterwards, so check that out, and a few crowd shots on the YouTube shots as well. So yeah, if you can subscribe, that would be really great.
Fantastic. Evening, Jack. Looking for at least a point tomorrow. Well, we'll see what happens. Right, Ali. Crystal Palace versus Leicester. Club football's back after the international break. How have you found the international break? I mean, have you found it? Was it too soon for Palace after only 3 games, or are you happy enough to take the break?
It was boring, wasn't it? It's like a mind-numbing time. Like, I don't think any fan wanted it. It's a weird one for us. I think Glasner's teams take a long time to get into their stride, like traditionally. That's why we're not too concerned with 1 point out of 9, because his teams in the past have always started quite slow. So maybe a few weeks training, get the new signings that were brought in on deadline day embedded. And Nketiah hasn't gone on any international duty, so he's going to be fresh and raring to go. Jean-Philippe Mateta, who was at the Olympics with France, now the greatest Olympian since Usain Bolt, he needed a rest, so that's good. But I think that we've had a lot of players, which I think might benefit West Ham, not so benefit you guys, Leicester. I think what will benefit you is we had a lot of players going quite far, like Ismaila Sarr has been representing Senegal. Kamada, who came from Lazio, has been representing Japan, and then the Colombians Manos and Lerma have been busy as well. So we've had a lot of players off on duty, and then obviously we've had Eberechi Eze with England, so and Gahey too. So I think it's a mixed bag for us. I still don't think we're going to be quite fully in our stride tomorrow, although we will have some fresh debutants. So I don't know. I think it might benefit Leicester in a way, because I think when we come to you early next year away, I think we'll be looking much better. Oh yeah, hello. That's another Palace channel. Eagle Eye Football. Yeah.
Team Jeff.
Yeah. Another very good Palace channel to check out, by the way. And they'll be, if there's any Leicester fans going to the game tomorrow, they do the fan cams, as they do like interviews outside the ground and stuff. If anyone wants to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Richard or JP.
It'll be one of the two. Probably trying to drop some sort of comment bomb, because I usually can't and do the opposite. So, yeah.
I always know Richard were a fan of Jeff Schlupp. He weren't quite a fan of Mateta though. Before they played Leicester in 2022, and then he didn't score for so long. And I said, Richard, I said he probably will go and score the winner. You know, the guy who
Yeah.
hasn't scored for bloody a year or so. You know, it always happens against us. And
Yeah,
he ended up scoring with like 30 seconds to go.
To be honest with you, like before Glasner came in, that was probably Mateta's best moment in the Palace shirt.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, and that moment really ignited that little spell at the end of the season when Hodgson came in for Vieira. Because we went on a great run then, even though the following season, when we shouldn't have kept Hodgson on, went sour. That sort of spell at the end of that season was fantastic for Roy. And that moment when we beat you kind of ignited our season, and it sort of really, it was a spark for a bad thing for you. It sort of, you know, took you on a run that took you down.
Yeah, let's not talk about Leicester going down.
Oh man, I think it all worked out for you. Like I'm quite, you know, in a way, quite jealous. You got to go down and rattle Leeds fans, come back up, and you don't get the points deduction. It's all worked out fine.
Yeah, that was the plan all along.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Glasner. You know, the end of last season, I mean, you went on a very good run, battering Man United, West Ham.
Yeah.
I think Aston Villa was in there as well, weren't they? And other teams. I mean, talk to me how Glasner has changed things at Crystal Palace for the good and that. I mean, and then talk to me how things have gone this season under him. And obviously, you spoke about the internationals going back and that. But yeah, talk to me about from last season and how Palace has changed as a club.
Yeah, I mean, one of the games you missed out there, with the big one, really was going to Anfield, and we kind of ended Jurgen Klopp's whole goodbye thing, which was hilarious. You know, all the narrative that Sky Sports had around that. That was probably the biggest result, winning at Anfield. The way that he's changed us, he's certainly changed the mindset. He definitely wants to win every game. And actually, I'm sure we're going to come on and talk about Jordan Ayew in a bit, but I think he's a very good signing for you. But I think when he dropped Ayew to the bench, that kind of showed me this is a manager who doesn't just want to be in their face and difficult to beat. He wants to really attack teams and win games of football. The thing that he brought, you know, was a new system with a back three, a system that allowed our best players, Elise at the time and Eze on the time, to really express themselves. But also the pressing under him was just unbelievable, relentless. Like the system allows sort of us to double up on the opposition. You know, I mean, to sum up, there was 2 home games against West Ham and Newcastle, and after 20 minutes, I remember both sides sort of looking at each other like, what's going on here? But I don't think we've reached those levels of intensity yet, which I think will be a good thing for Leicester tomorrow.
Yep. I'm all right, Jack. How are you, mate? Talk to me about the transfer business. Obviously, Elise's gone, Joachim Andersen. Key players leaving the squad. Obviously, Mark Guay could have ended up leaving for Newcastle. Obviously, he did hold out for massive money for him. Obviously,
Mark
very good Euros for him. But talk to me about the transfer window and that.
Yeah, you to me are everything. So many Geordie bids in the bin. Mark Gahey. They missed out on Alanga too. Our centre backs in red and blue. Mark Gahey. Honestly, Newcastle are a very sensitive bunch on social media. I found out this summer. The transfer window was stressful, to be honest. I think we're used to the whole Zaha saga, which was interesting again, because there's a bit of a Zaha saga, including you this summer. But you know, there was always that one player that we wanted and needed to hang on to. And then it just felt like we were defending ourselves from all angles. Elise went early, which was gutting because he's such a talent, as we saw at the Olympics and as we saw, we've already started seeing at Bayern Munich. But we did well with that, really. We saw off Chelsea the year before and renegotiated the release clause. And there's not much we could have done. But then, like, obviously the big talk was Mark Gahey. And I was sort of, at the start of summer, he was the one I was kind of okay with us letting go, because in that run with Glasner, Gahey only played about 1 game. So we'd already shown under Glasner that we could cope without Gahey. But then the big shock was Joachim Andersen leaving. And he's a player that I absolutely love. The way that he can dictate play from the back, his passing range is unbelievable. And to be honest, I've never seen a player like him at Palace. And I think he's still a very unique talent within the Premier League. However, the word from the insiders is that Glasner, he likes to play at like a high line. He likes pace within his back line. And the word was that he would rather Anderson go than Guéhi, because Anderson has many assets but lacks a bit of pace. And that was the kind of shock. But to get to the end of the window with what I would say two of the big three, which is Guéhi and Eze, still in place, I'm very happy. And then we got some good new additions in. We got Lequarin, who I think will play tomorrow. Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea, who's injured for tomorrow, by the way. He's out for a couple of games now. And then Nketiah is one that's really exciting us. So I think, you know what? I have to give credit to our board, because they took a lot of stick last season with the reappointment of Roy Hodgson, which for me was one of the worst decisions Steve Parish made. But they negotiated a very, very tricky window very, very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, Steve Parish holded out quite well, didn't he, with the Mark Guay situation?
The Newcastle fans are so rattled by him. He lives rent free in the Newcastle fans' heads.
It looks like it. Let's get into foot in both camps. I mean, I've chose 4 players, but they are more, including Paddy McCarthy, Kevin Phillips, and players like that. But I've chose 4 here. We're going to firstly talk about Jordan Ayew. Obviously, I'd like to get a real in-depth sort of thing on Jordan Ayew, what Leicester fans can expect from him this season, what kind of player is he, and that. Talk to me about Ayew's time at Crystal Palace, and what can Leicester expect from Jordan Ayew?
I think the Leicester fans were initially quite skeptical, weren't they? And I can see why from what I was seeing on social media. I can see why if you look back at his career stats, 23, 24, 4 goals, 22, 23, 4 goals, 21, 22, 3 goals, 20 to 21, 1 goal, 19 to 20, he had 9 goals, which was like his best season in terms of output. But all the Palace fans are in the comments saying, nah, this guy is exactly what you need. I will give him an unequivocal recommendation for a team that is just returning to the Premier League. And I know you've got a lot of players with a Premier League background, and really out of the 3 coming up, you're the team with the Premiership set up with your training ground, and a lot of your players have got Premier League experience. But if you're just coming back up and your remit is to stay in the league and get yourself back in the league and your foot back in the league, I think Jordan Ayew is almost the perfect signing. You know, he will be in the opposition's face. He will press relentlessly. His ability to win the ball back is unbelievable. His ability to draw fouls is unbelievable. If you actually wanted a remit to stay in the division, you buy Ayew and Ward-Prowse together, because Ayew could win so many free kicks and Ward-Prowse would obviously score. But I think he will bring a lot to you. And I think sometimes when you go up, you just need players who are ready for that step up. And he's got a lot of Premier League experience. You know, I think it's brutal when you go back to Premier League. You know, I think Ipswich fans, for example, have been very naive about it. And I think he gives you that experience and wisdom of playing in a team that remit for most of our seasons he's been with us is to stay in the league. And I think he's going to be. I think already he's sort of started to change your opinions. And I think by the end of the season, I think he'll be popular with the fans. Don't get me wrong, there are frustrations with him. If you have a player with that sort of goal record, that brings frustrations. One of the things I used to say about him was, Forrest Gump ran a lot, but he wasn't a professional footballer. But I think the other interesting thing about him is we played him out of position for most of his time. We played him on the right, and he would tell you that he's a striker. But I actually think, for me, his best position for me that I saw him play at Palace was off the left, cutting in on the right. Because when Hodgson came back initially and took over from Vieira, and after the Mateta goal against you, and we went on that good run, that's where Ayew was playing. And if he cuts in from the left, he's on his right foot. He's better at keeping the ball. And he just seemed to make better decisions on the ball. but I honestly recommend it. I think he's going to be a very good buy for you. And I actually think 6-7 million. I think for a player that Premier League experience is good for you. It's good for us to get that money out of a 33 to 34-year-old. I think it's just a good deal all around for everyone.
Yeah, I think I've seen quite a lot of Jordan Ayew since watching him since he's signed. He seems to be the guy who he gives 100%. He's very good off the ball. Scored a real cracking goal against Tranmere Rovers in the cup. Jordan Ayew, and he always seems to work hard for the team. He seems to be one of them players who he wants to help keep Leicester in the Premier League. He's determined to do that. I kind of find with him though, he's not your goal scorer, is he? He's a man who works hard off the ball, and that he's the man who likes to contribute in other ways rather than just goal scoring. And
that is exactly it. Yeah.
And he's now obviously 33. His birthday was 2 days ago, and he's not getting any younger, is he? But like I say, with the position we was in coming up from the Championship with the whole PSR and players, we was after some quality players at the time, and they wouldn't come due to the PSR situation, and we're kind of like, we're kind of stuck here, aren't we, for players? But then we bring Jordan Ayew in for £5 million plus £3 million bonuses, and obviously offers huge Premier League experience. He's been in the league about 10 years, I think it is, over his term. So huge experience. And it's what you need with players who haven't played in the Premier League before. Exactly. It's something he can really offer.
I think that experience has become an undervalued commodity in the Premier League and in football in general now. I mean, you can't buy that experience of being in that situation. He's been in that situation at Leicester in this season countless times with Palace, and that wisdom of how to manage certain situations in a game. I mean, you see it with Chelsea. They're the classic example of like this team who seem to have this philosophy of just recruitment policy of just buying players under a certain age. And you see in their team, they've got no experience within that team of players to stand up in a crisis during a game and to know how to manage certain situations. So, listen, I think 6-7 million, given the amount it's going to be worth you to stay in the league, I think it was a no-brainer for you, and also though a no-brainer for us to cash in.
Yeah, fair enough. Next one, Odsonne Edouard. I mean, this one come very late in the deadline day. Obviously, Leicester needed a striker. Plenty of clubs were after him for the loan. Obviously, Ipswich, one of them. He ended up obviously opting for Leicester instead. And a player who obviously won't play against Crystal Palace tomorrow is obviously banned due to the whole loan situation. So obviously, I think that'd keep you guys happy as well that he can't go and score against maybe.
Oh, mate, but Jordan Ayew, I know, but Jordan Ayew will definitely score tomorrow because we always concede to people who played against us. Like I'm going to do a poll later on how many he will score because he will definitely score. Odsonne Edouard for me is I think Jordan Ayew is the solid signing.
Yeah,
and he's probably the one who will impact us the most in terms of a loss. Because I actually think we will miss him at times, like under the lights at Selhurst with the intensity that he can bring and the intensity that we have at times at home. But Edouard's an intriguing one, and I think he's the one that sort of a few Palace fans are thinking, could he come back to haunt us a bit? He never really kicked on with us. He had an amazing debut a few years ago against Spurs where he got a couple of goals, and he was like the centre of attention that day. He came on, got the goal, the fans were singing his name, and I think he revels in being the main man like he was at Celtic. They had a great chant for him that we never adopted, and we never really sang his name at all. I remember being at Sheffield United away at the start of last season. He scored, Jordan Ayew got the assist, and we were singing Jordan Ayew's name. And I just think he thrives off a crowd who loves him. But I think if we get behind him, and as well, there's a couple of times he went on a bit of a goal-scoring run, and then he went out of the team under Vieira, and he maybe just was a bit unlucky in that he was never given a chance to gain the momentum because he is a good finisher. He's very quick over 5-10 yards. His weakness is he can't hold up the ball. He's better off Slugger. He'd be better off Vardy. And his touch lets him down in the last third. If he had a better touch at times, and maybe that's just not being sharp enough because he's not had a consistent run. Yeah. If he had a better touch, he could be lethal. But it's just not quite worked out for him. I'm not going to lie. I was pleased to get him off the wage books because it probably helped us allow us to get Nketiah in.
Yeah.
I do think it's an intriguing one. I'd say Jordan Ayew is the solid signing. Edouard is the one with the potential to ignite.
Yeah, Edouard's going to be an intriguing one to see what happens with him. I think with Edouard, he needs a good run of games. I think that you could say at Palace, he didn't really get that. The consistency with games as he'd liked. Obviously, at Celtic, he got that type of thing, but then that's the different league again. I think with Leicester, he'll get a good run of games. Obviously, he'll get the help of Vardy as well, which is, I think, is massive to work alongside Jamie Vardy for him and learn off Vardy, what Vardy can bring to the game, to Edouard's game. And obviously, yeah, a striker which was much needed. I think maybe we could see him play against Everton next week at home, which will be good if we can really get him going. It was another one kind of like, we needed a striker, and obviously a lot of strikers around, but then obviously we looked at Zaha, and that all came down to taxes and this, that, and the other. Is it true that he signed a 3-year deal at Palace after he did leave? Odsonne Edouard.
Yeah, he has. I think that's to cover ourselves so we can get a fee, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I guess it covers ourselves if he goes off and does really well at Leicester, because I think it's going to be interesting now. We've got both Nketiah and Mateta and how that's going to work. And there's a bit of rumblings about Mateta's contract. So, maybe we'll look again at Edouard next summer and think maybe we want you as part of our squad. But yeah, he has got a 3-year deal, but I think it's more to do with protecting ourselves in terms of transfer fee. I think maybe we tried to get a transfer fee out of you and we couldn't. So we just decided to settle for getting him off the wage book for a year. So yeah, it'd be interesting. The Zaha thing, like just even seeing your fans mock up Zaha in the shirt was weird for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm pleased at Leon and not with you. Just watching him play against us would have been weird. It's interesting. It was down to taxes. A lot of Palace fans feel like he wasn't advised very well. They don't think he was advised very well on going to Galatasaray in the first place. But I think it's an interesting move for him, Leon. I think the Galatasaray move, it didn't work out in the end, but he got to play in the Champions League, achieved his dreams, and he started the season very well, scored at Old Trafford. He scored 10 goals, has a league medal. He had to go and experience something different to being at Palace. And I think Leon, again, will bring another new experience to him. I think he'll suit the French league. I think he'll do well out there. Yeah,
they took Wilfried Zaha at Leicester. But let's talk about Jeffrey Schlupp. How's Schlupp got on at Palace?
Look, I think the last few years, he's kind of been scapegoated, and I think it's been a bit unfair because he's a squad player.
Yeah,
he's very versatile, and actually I think he's quite a good squad player. But when Vieira was with us and we just lost Conor Gallagher, gone back to Chelsea, we didn't get another central midfielder in, so we were very, very short. So he basically played a season in central midfield. And he can do a job there, but he got scapegoated that season. And then last season, Zaha left for Galatasaray. Elise got injured very early on. Eze got a few injuries too. So Schlupp was basically our left winger.
Yeah.
Again, he got scapegoated. Because for me, he's just an impact sub. He can make an impact off the bench. He scored a very good goal off the bench against Fulham. And, I think he's versatile. Also, we are playing wing backs now and we failed to get cover in at left wing back. So we're quite intrigued to see whether if Tyrick Mitchell ever got an injury or suspension, whether Schlupp would be used there. So I think he's a lovable squad player when he's a squad player. If he's in the last few years, when he's become more than that, he has become a bit of a scapegoat. To be honest, Jordan Ayew was a bit scapegoat at times for us as well when things were going wrong. So, yeah, I think Schlupp's all right. He's fitter under Glasner. He was very unfit last season. But I think he'll be on the bench on Saturday. And probably for most of the season, hopefully. Touch wood. Yeah.
Talk to me about Neil Dans. Obviously, Neil Dans was quite good for us, to be fair. We obviously
everybody
danced now.
Yeah.
For Neil Dans, we had the chance at Barnsley away.
Mate, do you know what thing about Neil Dans that freaked me out was when his son started playing for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh, that made me feel old.
It shows how old you get, though, innit? You know,
Yeah,
like when you're watching the fathers play and then
yeah,
the sons start coming into
mate.
football
That was
or
a
the
moment in
daughters, and you think,
time in my
hold on, I've
life.
watched
Was
your dad.
like, what? Like, is Neil Dan's not playing anymore? Like,
It's not,
yeah.
like
My
Tranmere.
memories of Neil Dan's. Yeah, he was like quite a lively central midfielder.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, he won't go down as one of the Palace greats, but he was a good player. I think his son's going to be better than him, but yeah, good. Some few good memories of him. Did he have like a singing rap career at some point, or
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
a character? I think you've touched on a bit of a character there, yeah.
Yeah, he was a proper character, you know. He'd always work
Yeah,
hard for the team, Neil Dans, you know.
yeah.
He did score for Leicester.
Mm.
You know, he always come across very well when spoken, and you know, very good midfielder. Obviously,
Yeah.
offered championship experience when we had him under Sven-Goran Eriksson
Yeah,
at that time. So I think we signed some real good players at that time. It's just yeah, obviously Neil Dan's. I think he played with like the likes of Richie Wellens and that. Obviously Paul Gallagher in the team back then. David Nugent again, and you know, I think he also scored against. Did he score against Crystal Palace? I believe
mate, probably.
at one point.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go on to the game itself and do
Yes.
score predictions and that, and talk
Mm-hmm.
about the game ahead of Saturday, let's talk about last time round. A
That
2-1
was a good
defeat,
day.
and you could probably call it Mateta masterclass coming off the bench for you lot after not rating him for some time,
Yeah,
and
so I
then he
could probably
turns
get
out to be the cult
my
hero against Leicester,
probably
which is
get my
typical
Mateta
for us
t-shirt
when
more
it
on
comes
show.
to players who haven't scored for a long time, like I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got battered in that game. An absolute battering. You know, it proved in the stats. I think we only had one shot on goal in the game, and you lot had about 30 shots, I think it was. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, it was a poor afternoon. I think half time come down at 21 shots to nil. And I think,
Mm.
I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we was absolutely terrible that season. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers left Leicester after that game, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was time on, but yeah, terrible afternoon. I think Ricardo Pereira scored an absolute cracker against you that afternoon, but
Yeah, if I
yeah,
remember rightly, you're
2-1
right.
win.
We were on top, and it was like one
Yeah.
of those ones you're like, how have we not won this game? But I
Mm.
think, well, Wilf went down with an injury,
Yeah, he
and
did. He got subbed off.
he, it was kind of at that point you were like, oh, are all these years of us overplaying Zaha catching up on him, which I think impacted him at Galatasaray.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then like it was like 1-1, which was okay. Like it was okay. I mean, I never felt we were going down that season. Like I kind of agreed with the decision to let Vieira go. I think Vieira had shown his tactical weaknesses that season, but I was never worried really about relegation. But if we'd lost to you, I would have been. It was like this game where I think most of us thought we'd be all right. If we lose to Leicester, then we're right in it. And then it was 1-1. It was on a knife edge. Wilfried gone off, and then there was just this magical moment where Jean-Philippe Mateta, ain't no striker better, came up and produced that moment. And for you, it probably sparked your relegation, because I remember it just
Yeah.
getting silent in the Leicester end.
It kind of summed us up that season.
Yeah, it was like there was a look of, there was a feel of resignation in your end. And then it ignited our season, where actually it was a wonderful end to the season. And Roy Hodgson really got the team going again. He got Eze going again, who had been on bench or shunted to the left by Vieira. Elise was being misused by Vieira. He got Elise and Eze really playing, to be fair to Roy. And it was sad, how it ended with Roy, because he should have ended that May and gone off, because he got cheered on the last game. He should have gone off on a blaze of glory. So that game sparked a good sort of few months for us, actually.
Yeah. Let's go on to the game itself. Give me your initial thoughts ahead of this one. I mean, Leicester, I think Leicester's last win at Crystal Palace was 2019 when Jamie Vardy did the Eagle celebration in a 2-0 win.
Yeah.
it's not really our greatest of grounds. I mean, I've seen Riyad Mahrez
Mm.
score win the title winning season in a 1-0
Yeah.
win at your place. I've seen us win there, but there's been some horror shows when it comes to bloody the 5-goal thrashing at your place, the 2-1 game where we was absolutely terrible. I think I've kind of like had a mixed bag
Mm.
feelings when you get to Palace, because you don't know what you're going to get with Leicester. And I think this is the type of game I look at it. You know, Palace won't be an easy game. I mean, you look at their performance at the back end of last season where they were
Mm.
giving teams good idings. But I think this is the type of game, if we can really get at Palace and attack the game well, I think maybe we could surprise you a bit in the
Mm.
game. I think we've got to set up right in the game, and I think we've got
Yeah.
to have the right tactic in the game, because, you know, defensively, I mean, Okoli looks good. I think I've been impressed with him.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jamie Vardy likes a goal against Crystal Palace, doesn't he? Jordan Ayew
Yeah.
returns. Could he potentially go and score the winner against you lot tomorrow? It's a
He's
game of
definitely going to score. I don't know who'll be
who's
the
going to
winner.
be the better team. I think it's going to be a real battle in that midfield as
Mm.
well between Wharton and Winks. And, you know, I think it'll be a real test for Leicester. And these are the types of games
Yeah.
we have to go and get points out of.
I think I don't think we're going to have hit the heights of Glasner that we know we can from the end of last season. And I think we will again, because his teams traditionally start slow. And obviously the internet, it's always, whenever I do these podcasts after an international break, the game's always quite hard to call.
Yeah.
I just think if Wharton had a niggly injury, he's fit. And Decore came on in the second half at Chelsea and changed the game. And we saw for the first time Decore and Wharton together. And in my opinion, they will, for me, in my opinion, become one of the best central midfield partnerships in the league. I don't think people within England realise what England have with Adam Wharton. In my opinion, he's the best passer of the ball. He's the type of player that we haven't had since Carrick and Scholes. And it's going to be interesting to see how England use him, because they underused Carrick and they shunted Scholes to the left. You know, these type of deep lying players we don't normally have and we don't normally embrace. Honestly, to be honest with you, you've said about a battle between Harry Winks and Adam Wharton.
Yeah.
No disrespect, it's chalk and cheese for me. I think if I could say one thing to Leicester fans, I watch Adam Wharton tomorrow. He's a special player. I think him and Decore will control the game, and I think that's where we'll win the game. But I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be a tight game, because I think as well you're going to be really buoyed by not getting the points deduction. Like, I think there's going to be a bit of momentum if you're in that dressing room and you think you've got 6 points being deducted, and then suddenly, well, hang on a minute, like we haven't got 6 points deducted probably. Like, that is going to be momentum. Your fans are going to be high as anything from that. Like, so I think you're going to bring a lot of momentum from that decision. I think it's going to be a great game because we've got a few home debuts. You're off the back of the not getting the points deduction. I think there's going to be goals in it as well. I think it'll be both teams will score. But I feel like for us with Man United next, it's like a no ifs or buts. We must get 3 points. With you having Everton next, you might more settle for the point. But I think we'll nick it. But I think it's going to be a very tough game. And I also am someone who's got respect for Steve Cooper. I think that was probably. I definitely when you had the points deduction, I thought it was a very shrewd appointment. I rethought it the other day. I was like, if they knew they weren't going to get this points deduction, could they have been a bit more risque? But I think there's more layers to Cooper, and I think than just being a person to keep a team up. I think if he's given time with you, it'd be interesting to see how he develops. But I think he was a good appointment in terms of the remit of keeping the club up this season. So I think it'll be a tight game, but I think we'll come out on top.
Yeah, I think them, like you said, hunger's going to be in the players' bellies after that PSR decision.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're going to be momentum. You know, Leicester, you know, they need to thrive in this game. They've got to show what they're about, that they are wanting to stay in this league and that, you know. And like I say, these are the games. Obviously, we've got some games coming up with Everton, Forest, Ipswich, Southampton, you know, games where we can pick up points. And you know, Ipswich will be no pushovers. Obviously, Leicester's got to go there. They'll obviously be in looking for their search of their first win of the season. there's been positives in games. I think sometimes you could question the timing of the substitution sometimes where, you want to kind of change the game more earlier than we do. But I think this is the type of game where we've got to play Mavididi because I think Mavididi is a great player. I think he can prove pivotal on that left-hand side. Is a real handle at times for defenders, and if he likes to, I think he's bulked up this summer. To be fair, Mavididi, so it's one that I'd like to see against Palace.
And also, you've got to remember we've got quite a new look defence. We've lost Joachim Andersen. I think Lacroix will be making his debut in a new league. So I would definitely be looking to get at us and play those kind of players who can get at us on the break. Because I think we'll take the game to you. But I think there's definitely potential for you to get us on the counter, and I think our defence, Lacroix comes with a lot of pedigree, but it takes a while to settle into a new league, and what better player to ruffle someone up on their home debut in a new league and use all that nous that he's got than Jamie Vardy as well. So I take it Vardy's fit.
Vardy is fit, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I think he'll play 90 minutes? See, this is the thing with Edouard coming in. It takes that edge off Jamie Vardy, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It's not all. You can't rely on one striker to go and do everything. You know what I mean? You always need players who can go and do their help in as well in the team.
Yeah.
And if some people look at Leicester and they think, it's just Jamie Vardy, innit? It's not. You know what I mean? You look at other players. You look at Jamie Vardy's off the ball sort of game as well, the professional that he is, and that's why. He's a very successful footballer in what he's achieved at Leicester. It's not just been his goals; it's been his team effort as well, and every other thing. But I just don't think we've found that striker yet who can replace him. Let's be honest.
I mean, when Vardy got the equaliser on the Friday night when the season opened, it's just one of those Premier League moments in time, wasn't it? Like to announce his return at 39 to the Premier League. I think that's for if I was a Leicester fan and. If I'm Steve Cooper, I'm looking at it thinking this Palace defence is a new unit. So I think you're right. You should be testing it tomorrow. Yeah. And that's kind of my fear. That's where I think we could lose this game or lose the 3 points is as good as I think our back three could be. We've got Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea. He won't be fit. Lacroix and Gahey. I think it's going to be a great back three, but it's going to take time to gel.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go up to the starting 11. I mean, how do Palace line up? What's the team? I mean, do you make any changes from before the international break? I mean, talk about debutants. How many start? Talk to me about your starting 11.
Well, I think Trevor Chalobah won't start because he's injured. So I think Nathaniel Klein will probably be. For me, in my opinion, should be the right side. I hope it's him and not Richards, because Richards, the American international, is a bit slower. I would go with personally Nathaniel Klein as right-sided centre-back. And that, to be honest, like the barometer of Glasner's management has been, that kind of player. Like most people probably thought Nathaniel Klein's injured. He came in and converted him to a right-sided centre-back, but he's very good at that position. He really supports Manos, the right wing back. So I hope it's Klein at right-sided centre-back, and then I think we'll see Lacroix in the middle making his debut, and then Gahey to the left, I think. And then you'll have Mitchell left wing back, Manos right wing back, the Colombian international, who's fantastic, which will be up and down all game. Watch out for him. Great player. I think quite a lot have put him in their fantasy teams. He will get you assists and goals at some point. And then I think Decore and Wharton will be the axis. At least I hope it is. I think Fuse is suspended. He had a shocker at Chelsea. And I think that's where we'll win the game, in my opinion. As I've said, Decore and Wharton. And then you'll have, this is where it's interesting. You'll have Eze in the left side, sort of 10 role that Glasner has. The right-sided 10 role is interesting. Would it be Daichi Kamada, who came from Lazio, Japanese international? Or is he going to give Nketiah his home debut? And he has gone on record in his press conferences saying they haven't spent all that money on Nketiah for him to be on the bench, which tells me I think he'll play tomorrow alongside Mateta. And I think what we've lacked at the start of the season is that directness we had with Eze and Elise. And I think Nketiah will bring that back. And I think he's already come in, I think, and impressed in training. So I think a home debut for Nketiah, I'm going to stick my neck out. I think he's going to go with Eze, Nketiah, and Mateta.
See, Leicester's
it's definitely what the Palace fans are hoping. But I like that. I like Daichi Kamada. I think he's a very clever player. But Daichi Kamada is that kind of player that will be the assist before the assist. He links the play great, but some fans just won't see everything that he's doing. But we do need a bit more directness, especially at home in a game that really we need to win off the back of 1 point out of 9. So I think it'll be Nketiah over Daichi Kamada. I don't know. Palace fans are very intrigued about the selection tomorrow.
I think we're the same at Leicester. You know, it's players you'd like to see like Mavididi, and then you probably don't get what you want. You know, I think Hermanson will start in goal. I'd like to see Ricardo, but I think he'll go with Justin again. I think Christensen start with Akoli and Fass. I think the midfield will be a Harry Winks, and I think he'll go Oliver Skip. And Didi, I don't think were great against Aston Villa, to be honest. In my opinion, their last game,
we were getting linked. We were getting linked with Didi at one point last season to come on a.
You were linked with Iheanacho as well, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we were.
I think maybe Wilf will be on the bench this game. Fatawu, Mavididi, and Buonanotte. I've been impressed with Brighton's Buonanotte so far this season.
It must feel a little bit disgusting to have a Brighton player in your mix, no?
Well, it will be for you lot, especially if he scores. I mean, you lot don't like Brighton.
I guess you got an ex-Forest manager, haven't you? So you're
but I think striker-wise, see, does he go Jamie Vardy or does he go Jordan Ayew, or does Jordan Ayew come off the bench? I tell you what, I'm going to stick with Vardy, and then I think he brings Ayew on. I know he did that against Fulham where he started to change things after, and I might be wrong, but
he could play Ayew out on the right, which is where he predominantly played for Palace.
Yeah, I think he's been starting to play Ayew, you know, like the left-hand side. He's because he played Deco Doveri.
I think that's his best position on the left-hand side.
And then he played on the left, and then against Tranmere he was a striker, and then against Aston Villa he played on the left again. So I'm thinking, could we actually potentially, if Mavididi doesn't start, he's obviously going to go with Ayew, innit? Which I think he will do. But
I think this Ayew will be so up for this game. I fear Ayew tomorrow. He's going to score at some point. Whether it's starting or off the bench is going to happen.
If we can hold you out for a draw until Ayew comes on, and then if it's like 1-1 or something, then maybe we can see Ayew score the winner.
Honestly, if he came on, the Palace fans would just go quiet because we'll just be like, it's definitely going to happen.
He said he'd get a mixed reception.
Have you ever had those players who just come back and score against you? We had it recently as well, Conor Gallagher.
Every player does it though, don't they?
Yeah,
I mean, look at it. I've seen Leicester do it. I mean, we used to have Harry Kane on loan, and he was a bloody nightmare for Spurs against us. Every time he played, scored.
To be fair, he's a nightmare for everyone. But yeah.
It's annoying, though, isn't it, when your former player scores?
That is insane, though. Like that you had Harry Kane on loan, because a lot of people don't know this, but Ashley Cole was on loan at Palace at the start of his career. Like right at the start of his career, and I remember just saying then, like watching him. Me and my dad when we both had season tickets together, both said this guy is going to play for England. He's so good. It's insane when you have those type of players like pass through your club. Like, yeah,
it's madness. You never know, do you, until you actually look back on things and you think, I didn't know that player played for us.
I know.
Or, you know, it's mad.
It'd be like tomorrow when you see Jeffrey Schlupp, like, I can't believe a player of that ability played for us.
Well, I tell you what, we got good money for him in the end. But we're gonna get on to score prediction, Ali.
Okay. Yep.
Talk to me about the score, mate. I mean, where'd you go with this one?
I'm going to go 2-1 Palace.
Okay.
I think it'll be tight. I think Cooper will set the team up well and organised. I remember going to Forest away in their first season with Cooper, and I was very impressed with Cooper, to be honest. But I think we need to win tomorrow. Like, we need 3 points, and I think as long as we don't lose our heads and panic about it, I think, and Glasner gets the subs right, I think we'll just about do it. But I do expect a tough game from you, because I think let's have a good chance of staying up now with the points deductions gone. I think if anyone's going to suck another team in, it's going to be you out of the promoted sides. I think the other two will go down.
Who's like you free to go down though, Ali, in the Premier League?
Ipswich, Southampton, and Brighton. Nah, not Brighton. Probably me. I think I said this on another podcast yesterday. I think Wolves might.
Interesting. Some have had Everton down there, isn't there? Some have had Forest.
Yeah, you see, I didn't have Everton at the beginning of the season just because of Dyche and the Dyche effect.
Yeah.
Their squad's terrible. Their team's awful. Like, when you look at it on paper, it's just like Dwight McNeil. You're just like, what is this team? But I don't know. And there's a lot of stuff circus around Everton. I mean, they're meant to be getting in one of our co-owners, Tex, that wants to buy them, and he's a very colourful character, and Palace fans don't quite trust him. I mean, Everton is a bit of a circus, really. Like, so that potentially, but I think Dyche, I back Dyche still to do what Dyche does. Forest, I'm afraid to say, I think have too much talent in there with Gibbs White, Elanga, and Odsonne Edouard. I don't think they're going to. I think they'll sit somewhere 13th to 16th. I'll say, yeah, I think Wolves, but I think I'm more believing Everton than I was at the start of the season.
Interesting. Score prediction tomorrow from me. I tell you what, I'm going to go for our first win of the season. Obviously, both sides want a win, don't they? So they're both going to be up for it. Obviously, the Premier League, you know, your home forms, you know, where you get your most points from in the Prem. Away, sometimes you're lucky to get points. You know, you've got to sort of. Hopefully, we set up well and go at Palace from the start, you know, and try and make it a tough afternoon for you lot. Try and create enough as we can and take our chances. 2-1 for me. I think. I tell you what, I'm going to go with Jordan Ayew to score tomorrow, and Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, mate, definitely. Ayew will get the goal for you in my prediction. Yeah. Vardy, yeah, he'll try and do that Eagle celebration again. he needs his goal bonus, doesn't he, after being sued by the Rooneys? But, you know, yeah. I mean, do you know what? If you beat us, it wouldn't really surprise me too much, because Glasner does have slow starts. So
yeah,
I'll tell you what, though, if we lose tomorrow, our fans will be panicking in big time. It's not in the Palace fan script that we lose tomorrow. So yeah.
Interesting. Ali, thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate it. Plug your channel, pal. Let everybody know where to find you.
Yeah, Pride of South London Fan TV. Check it out over the weekend. I'll have a review and some crowd shots, and I normally try and get some shots of the opposition when they score and stuff. So if you do score, I'll try and catch you guys as well on the YouTube shorts. But yeah, definitely check out the review, and yeah, best of luck to Leicester after tomorrow.
Cheers, Ali. Likewise, mate. Cheers, pal.
See you later. Thank you.
That was Ali from Pride of South London Fan TV. Good guest. Good analysis, Palace. If you've enjoyed this stream, hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed. Please get down and do so. If you're watching on playback, then go and give me your opinions. Give me your score predictions as well of what we've also spoke about in the show. Go and check out the Premier League predictions week 4, as I sat down with Football Martin yesterday to go through the Premier League predictions. So go and check that video out on the channel. Go and check out the Leicester City Stadium tour video, which is also out on the channel. And yeah, that is it from me. There'll be a match day vlog out after the game tomorrow. So yeah, go and check out that as well, as I'll be at Selhurst Park as Leicester head to take on Crystal Palace in the next Premier League game. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your Friday, and up the Foxes. Hi all, thank you for watching The Final Whistle. If you enjoy all our content, please remember to smash a like, share and subscribe to the channel.